to Coffee Ann, the longest running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocket.radio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel. Good morning, everybody. Coffee Ann here around the world and across the nation for the, second day of October in 2023. I'm Dave Richards sitting in for Joe, who's going to the big TV station today to talk about Autumn Fest on the Road Show. Well, that goes our audience. You can catch us later on demand. But, Joe is the PR guy for Autumn Fest, so, of course, this is his job to go out there and spread the word about the 45th Autumn Fest coming up this weekend. Around the table this morning, we have the wonderful Melissa Murray. Hi there, wonderful. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I see that you've changed since Saturday afternoon.
I have.
Yes, we'll talk about that in a few moments. But we also want to acknowledge the presence of Romeo Berthium, another deep thinker and swell commentator. I got to get a little bit more volume on you there.
All right. Good morning, Dave. Good
There
morning,
you go.
Melissa.
There you go. All right. Very good.
Or
All
should I
right.
say Senator?
No,
Or
I'm
should
Melissa.
I say happy
Yes.
birthday?
Usually
Oh,
she-
yes, thank you.
Is that today?
That's right.
No, it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, I won't see you tomorrow, so happy birthday.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you. I've been celebrating all
That's-
weekend.
Have you been celebrating
I
all
have,
weekend?
yeah. I already had my cake.
You dressed up like a 1970s television character for the weekend,
did.
and that celebrates your birthday?
You know, I chose that date specifically because it was the weekend before my birthday because, you know what? I'm going to be 49 and I can do what I want.
You're going to be 49?
49 again?
Really?
I'm going to be 49.
Yeah.
Oh, is that first time?
First time.
All right, I'll believe you.
So you'll be starting your 50th year, Melissa.
Yeah. And the angst has already started.
What's wrong with that?
I remember.
It's a big one. It's
we
a
we
big
can both
one.
tell her you can do that on your head, kid.
Yeah,
It's
I
no big
I know.
deal.
I know.
I
I
remember
know.
that,
Just,
you know?
you know.
I have a tendency to send cards to my friends who are approaching milestone birthdays, like 50, 60, 70.
Yeah.
And I always give them like, for example, in your case, you're going to be 50.
Yep.
I mean 49. So I would send you a card.
We hope she's
saying-
going to be 50
I would.
someday.
Next
Yeah,
year.
me
I would send you a card saying happy 50, and you'd say I'm not 50 yet. I know.
I love it.
But I want to be the
You're
first
you're the
of many
50th.
to
Yeah,
wish you
right.
a happy 50th. So anyway, happy
Right.
birthday, kid.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Well, all right. That's good. Let's talk for a minute, Melissa, about Saturday afternoon. I know that you were a little tied up with your costume bash,
Yes.
and boy, you got a lot of nice publicity for that. How did it work out? Did you actually get some people out there to say, "All right, it's stupid, but I'll dress up like Mrs. Roper from Three's Company and join Melissa out there crawling along the Main Street area of Woonsocket"?
Yeah, so we had about, I would estimate about 30 participants.
That's a lot
Yeah.
for a little city like ours. First time.
I know. Everyone was saying, oh, there's a lot of people. I was kind of hoping for 50, but next
Wow.
year.
49 would have been more appropriate.
49
don't you think?
would have been
Just
good
hung up on that
too.
number 50.
So there were about 30 participants in costume. All we had all Mrs. Ropers except one Mr. Furley and one Larry.
I see.
So yes,
I don't think that was supposed to be part of the bargain, was it?
but that's okay. They were,
There was some guys that didn't want to get in drag. I can understand that
Yeah,
because drag's not for me.
Right.
I did it once for Manny Brando's retirement party. I mean, because we've been chums for such a long, long time, and he
Yeah.
would understand.
Right,
Because he knows me that I don't care for performing in drag. It's just a personal thing. I don't care for it. I don't see it as funny as everybody else does. But the people putting it on came to me and said, you know what would really make Manny laugh and would be memorable for him because he knows how you feel about it? If you made this one exception in your entire career, and we've got a professional belly dancer who's going to take you and Tom McLaughlin and Ore Dwall and dress you guys up in hula skirts. Well, not exactly hula skirts, but it's
Right, yes,
and belly
right.
dancing outfits. with your big bellies.
Oh, the
Give you the
castanets?
finger, no, the finger cymbals.
Yes.
And get up there and dance during a number. And that person was right, because we just brought the house down. And
I bet.
Manny had a great time, and he promised me that he would destroy the tape. So I certainly hope that he did. But seriously, I can understand someone who's saying, it's going a little too far for me. Everybody's
Right,
got a
there's
camera
also-
these days.
Yeah, and also there's always that one person who wants to be different, right? Or who just really likes Don Knotts and
Yeah.
wanted to dress up like Mr. Furley. It's funny to have a little, pop in guest star, I guess.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun, and we patronized local businesses. I kept
tell
it
me
at
tell me how the trivia went.
the
'Cause
trivia.
each time you went, people asked trivias. Now, was there prizes there?
There were prizes. I had gotten mason jars and got these little tiny like trophy cups that I glued on top, and then I spray painted them, the tops.
You're so crafty.
Gold, and and so we gave those out. So there was a round of trivia at each place, and I took all of the correct answers, mixed them up. The trivia got progressively harder. So and then they just got a little prize package filled with like some candy and some like obnoxious pink nail polish and lip gloss, and
I noticed there's a little left over on your fingers this morning.
yeah, and just because it was
Does
seven,
it not come
it
off?
was no.
Is it going to be there for
It's
the
going to
next
be there
election
for like
cycle?
probably. I don't usually do nail polish like stuff like that, but I mean, I even put on fake lashes for this. But
Wow.
yeah. But
Are there
yeah, so-
photographs?
oh yeah. I've took tons of photographs.
Oh, okay.
There's tons of photographs on our DWC website. If people want to go and see what it's all about. We had a lot of folks say, comment on the pictures that, they want to come next time. That they hope that we do this again, and I think that we will. And I was basically wrangling everybody, keeping them on schedule. We had 3 stops, 45 minutes for the first 2 stops. And we started early so that's to not interfere with the dinner crowd for the locations that were hosting us. They knew we were coming and gave them a heads up. And 45 minutes is just enough time for about 30 people to get one cocktail or beer or seltzer. And then we start walking
And
to the
stumble out
within
onto
an
the
hour.
streets of the next location.
Well, right. It was one, and then it was an hour, and then we go another one.
Yeah.
But Ciro's did. Ciro's gave us some pretzel bites, and then by the time folks got to River Falls, almost everybody I think ordered a meal. So it was just kind of perfect timing. And we boosted the business for those
I
businesses.
had 2 questions and you answered them all. Where did you go? What were the locations? And you
Yep.
mentioned Ciro's and
Lobs
River
and
Falls.
Ciro's and River Falls,
And
and
the
then
second question is, how did you get there? And you answered
we
that.
walked.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
we with the Valley Breeze and the Call both sent photographers,
Right.
which was great. And we got a lot of honks and waves, like a lot. People cheering out there.
And most
yeah.
importantly, I assume you raised a few dollars for the collaborative.
You
Yeah.
know what? This
Yeah.
event was free.
Yeah.
This event was free to participate. The
So-
focus was really on businesses.
Publicity.
We didn't know
Yeah.
how much
Yeah.
many people would come out. I think next year there's probably an opportunity. But other Roper romps in Rhode Island. There was one in Providence and one in Newport. They charged and they cut it off at a certain amount of people,
Okay.
which is fair to the businesses, right? You can't converge
Yeah.
200 people on a business and expect not to have chaos. But
Right.
yeah, so maybe we will do a suggested donation. We will think it over. I think I definitely convinced a couple of folks to be on the committee, so it's not just me, which would be great. And more ideas are better. And we gave out prizes for best Mrs. Roper costume and runner up and best supporting character, because I knew there's always like at least 1 or 2 people who come dressed up as someone else.
We're going to show something from the Facebook page for the Downtown Woonsocket Collaborative. I didn't see it on the website, but on the Facebook page we have the photographs.
Yes.
And that's one. Boy, what a picture that is.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and everybody had a blast. And definitely will do
Some
it
of
again.
them look pretty doggone close.
Yeah,
They're all wearing what looks like
Caftans.
muumuus.
Muumuus,
Yeah,
right.
that's what
Yeah.
yeah,
And I can tell which one's Adam Bernetti.
yeah.
He's
yeah.
wearing the jeans underneath his caftan.
Right.
Oh,
And there's
my-
Mr. Furley right in the middle,
All right.
and behind him was a Larry. And Larry might look familiar to you.
All right. Well, that's pretty cool. Are there any other photos? Oh no. Well, that's the Woonsocket Call story.
Yeah.
And that's something
there's
else.
other
That's something
photos
else.
in the I think on the event page. So
On the event page. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
whatever. We got a chance to take a look. That's really what we were looking for, to give people an idea of what it all looked like. That's really nice. And I imagine it's very, very comfortable. The weather was good enough. You didn't
It-
have to put on winter jackets on top of it.
yeah. It would not be a good event to do in say August or January. So it was the perfect time actually. So we were thinking we might do this the weekend before Autumn Fest every year. It was a nice reprieve for those folks who work on Autumn Fest too, just kind of like kick back and relax for a night since everybody's been working so hard.
All right. Well, that's the Mrs. Roper Romp from last Saturday from the Downtown Woonsocket Collaborative. Congratulations, Melissa. Looks like you
Thank
had an
you.
awful lot of
Yeah,
people
it was a
interested in doing it.
lot of fun.
It sounded like such a silly idea, but now that it's over, I'm looking at it and I said it's kind of charming. Don't you think, Romeo?
I do. I like the name, Roper Up.
Mrs. Roper. Oh,
You
we
know
had
what
the farthest person traveled. They traveled from Western Massachusetts, and then they stayed in the city.
Seriously?
Oh yeah.
You had people from outside the area?
Oh yeah. Yep.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah. It was the
Okay.
closest one to them, so they came. And then-
All right. I guess that's what they're looking for, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, that's pretty cool. We're going to take a little break over here. Come back. We'll be talking about why is Dave wearing a mask and some things that are going on in the news when we return on Coffee Ann.
When it comes to emergency service for plumbing and heating, you can't beat C.J. Nemus, 37 Corey Street in Woonsocket. C.J. Nemus offers over 15 years of experience and is licensed in both Rhode Island and Massachusetts. C.J. Nemus offers complete heating system service, plumbing, water heaters, plus drain and sewer cleaning. Remember that senior citizens receive a 10% discount. So give Charlie a call today at C.J. Nemus, 769-4776. They're registered with the Better Business Bureau. They're a master plumber with quality service. It's the only way and the best way. With C.J. Nemus, call today, 769-4776 for C.J. Nemus.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee in Pawtucket. They're a 62-year-old family business that roasts all its coffee right here in Rhode Island. Founded originally as Excellent Coffee Company, they provide great coffee to food service establishments throughout New England.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes, it's looking pretty. You look pretty good there. Melissa was just showing me a photo. We can't put it on TV because it's on her cell phone. I mean, we could, but she'd have to send it to me. And boy, that looks pretty good. You want to hold it up there on your camera a little bit? Yeah. It's not. Yeah. That's really good.
Without the
How'd
glasses,
you get along?
maybe.
Yeah. How'd you get along without the glasses?
So I do have contact lenses,
Oh, good.
although I wear progressives now because
Because that's
I'm
it's
old.
that time of year, right? I know,
No,
I
I would.
understand.
So I and I lost my reading glasses. So when I wear contact lenses, they're single vision, and I have to wear reading
And the fun
glasses
begins.
to with contact lenses to wear read a menu or anything. like
Yeah,
that.
I get it.
Fun times.
Yeah, hey, listen, it's all part of life's rich bounty of baloney, right?
Yeah,
everybody,
exactly.
everybody has to go through something. Everybody's got problems, really.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
no big deal.
I'd rather be 50 than not be 50, right?
Isn't it wonderful that in this day and age you can just go out and it's so commonplace to get eyeglasses to help you so you can see,
Yeah.
rather than becoming disabled.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. All right. Well, I want to ask our two deep thinkers here about a story that's in our news all weekend long. It started back on Friday. U.S. Senators Jack Reed and Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island joining senators from all over the country in commenting and reacting to the death of Senator Dianne Feinstein and calling her a trailblazer. And the former mayor of San Francisco was elected to the Senate in 1992. And Reed said Feinstein broke gender barriers and championed her state, the environment, and public safety. And Whitehouse chimed in, saying he worked with Feinstein on the Senate Judiciary Committee, and she was 90 years old. I'm not sure why he would say she was 90 years old, but
Right.
she was anyway. So we have that. But the question on my mind is, when I first learned of the passing of former Senator Feinstein, the comment that was made to me is, well, I won't quote it, but it was along the lines of "Ding dong, the witch is dead." A really down comment.
Yeah.
So I'm saying to myself, well, where I come from, that's inappropriate when somebody
Yes.
passes away.
It is.
'Cause
It is.
You can agree or disagree with somebody. You can, there's all kinds of different things that go on in personal relationships. But when somebody has passed away, they can do you no more harm.
That's right.
And it should be, the way I was raised, a time for you to say, well, I don't think anybody deserves dying, and we're sorry that she's lost this. I'm not going to miss some of the things she did I didn't like, but back off a little bit. Here,
Right.
you
My
know?
condolences to the family, etc. Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
think that that's important because people's professional lives, there can be great disagreement, but when it comes down to being human beings,
Mm-hmm.
we're all human beings.
Yep.
And
agree.
there you go.
Yeah, 100%.
You agree with that?
And everybody dies. And first of all,
Yeah, anybody can do it.
Anybody can do it.
Hopefully not today.
For some people, it's relatively easy. For others, it's hard. But she had a full life,
Yes.
and she did.
Most people say 90 is a pretty full life.
I
Yeah,
guess.
it's
Is-
a good
is that
run.
the age?
That's a pretty
That's
good run.
That's 40 years older than you right now, Melissa. No, 41, I should say.
41,
But
yes.
but actually, though, she did leave a legacy. The longest-serving senator, who happened to be female,
Yep.
the first female mayor of San Francisco, and maybe I don't know if she overstayed her welcome. I don't know. Sometimes it's sad that people do that because she
Yeah.
had so much to offer.
That I agree with.
And toward the end, people were goofing on her, saying she, along with Nancy Pelosi, along with the president, should all resign because they're old. I don't know if they were saying resign, but they were saying they were too
Well,
old.
I think.
It all leads to a lot of questions like, should there be
I hate
term
to
limits?
hear that.
I know, but it's out there. Should there be term limits for Congress people as well as there is for president? And we know that was deliberately set by the Republicans in the 1950s because they wanted to avoid another FDR. And I wonder if that was a good idea. I think the American people smart enough to decide whether or not they want to elect someone to a third or fourth term. And why pick strictly on the president? Why not? If you're going to do term limits, let every other elected official have term limits. And then that leads to the other argument that I'm sure you're familiar with, Melissa and Dave. If you set term limits in the last term of an elected official, you are now a lame duck.
That's right.
And that's what the argument is against that. So
Right.
I just feel
You lose your effectiveness because everyone knows that you're not
Yeah.
going to be around later.
I just feel sad that she passed away, but maybe she should have decided in the last term to step down. And maybe. Did Ruth Bader Ginsburg? She stayed on the court too.
She
right?
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
For a while.
And
they
I feel,
don't-
yeah. And I feel the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
way.
You do. We agree. Oh wow.
Yes, we do. We do. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
It's hopefully not about your legacy because at that point you already have a legacy.
Oh, of course you do.
And it's more about, okay, is it time for me to step aside and let someone else take the reins? Because, in the case of
Yeah.
Dianne Feinstein, when she was sick these many months,
Yes.
that wasn't fair to her constituents who didn't have representation there.
And interestingly, she cast a vote the day before she died. And they posted a picture of her and a very close friend at a dinner party the night before. You know, it was a friend had her arm around her. It was probably a selfie. I'm not sure if there was somebody else there, but it was she looked good. I mean, she looked good, relatively speaking.
Okay.
And
You mean for a 90-year-old?
yeah, you know, like a
Well-
doctor always tells me, for your age,
Yeah.
for your
She
age,
did look good for her age.
you're going to be hearing that soon, there. Melissa, when you go, I don't know if Dave has heard it yet, but how am I doing, Doc?
No, everybody still thinks I'm 23.
Okay, well, that's good. You're going to get a new doctor if you can't tell roughly how old you are.
Oh, the doctor knows, but I'm saying that average people,
I know.
because I act so silly all the time.
You do?
Well, that's just me.
Keeps you youthful.
There you go.
Yeah. I'll just tell you something. I really think there is a time when someone should stop doing something. When it's easy to just keep doing something because you like it, because you think you can make a contribution and whatever, but there may be out there someone who can better do what you do.
Agreed.
Really?
And so it should be,
Yeah.
people should be taught or observe others that have this circumspect attitude. Well, they could, and let me give you an example of this. And Melissa will know what I'm talking about here. One of my favorite Woonsocket City councilors, as a person and when they were serving, was a guy who came on, worked hard, did what he thought he had to do, and then he said, okay, I'm done, bye. And disappeared. I mean, I'm not saying he came back and he's now behind the scenes and he's trying to get... No. Disappeared. Owen Bebo. Now, he's still around. I mean, you can bump into him if you get into that same orbit. But the whole thing with Woonsocket City Council was something, and I think it's just so charming that he looked at it and said, well, you know, the Founding Fathers expected this to be a temp job. They didn't expect people to be, you know, career public servants. You know, if you're being called back to do a different job, well, that's one thing. But staying in a job for year after year because you can wasn't the original intention. And so he came in, did what he thought he could, and then he just left. And I always thought that that was something that I really admired, that he could do that. Because people have said, geez, Dave, when are you going to retire? I said, is that a request? You know, I haven't heard anybody really request it, you know, and I'm still having a whale of a lot of time when I'm not wearing a mask and having a cold. But seriously, I like the business. I like what's going on. I don't see any reason to retire. But if somebody thought I should, I'd listen to them. Serious.
If the price was right. I'm only kidding.
No, I just,
Owen,
you know.
Owen Bebo is a former student of mine.
Right.
I don't think he was that old. And
No, he
in
wasn't.
in all due respect, I don't think he served that long.
No,
Probably
he
4
didn't.
years, maybe 6, maybe 6.
Yeah, I think it was 6, yeah.
Yeah, Owen's a good guy, no doubt about it. And he did kind of, I thought he was out of town somewhere, but I bumped
No.
into him a few years ago in Boston with his wife, and
Yeah.
I realized that he's still around. He's a
Right.
good guy. Yeah, I agree with that. Good sense of humor, and
Because I,
You know-
I went to him and said, hey, Owen, since you're out of the game,
Yeah.
you want to be on the election night broadcast? You're free? And he looked at, he says, Dave, he says, turn the page.
okay,
Thanks for asking. And he turned the page.
In other words,
and
no.
that's not what he does.
that's not what he does. Yeah, well, when I retired from teaching, some of my colleagues had already gone back as subs and
Yeah.
did other things in the field. When I left, I never went back.
Right.
Same thing. I never really looked back. It was over for me, and I didn't want to go back. Not because I didn't like the job, but because it was time for other people to come in and do what we did for we meaning myself and my colleagues who retired.
Yeah, come in, make some mistakes, and
Yeah.
get some things right, and go
yeah,
on.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Once you leave, you should be gone, at
Right.
least from the profession.
I can get that. Or you could take on another role, I suppose.
But I
I could understand taking on another role.
don't think Owen served that many years. I think he
No.
probably figured, hey, I did what I had to do. I'm done,
Right.
and that's it. I don't know how you feel about it.
Stepping
Melissa.
aside is not always
Easy.
easy.
No.
I think about now and like 6 or 7 years ago when I was on all these committees and, I was the vice chair of every committee and the chair of every committee.
Oh, you were young. You were
And
in your early
then-
40s.
Yeah, I was. And, especially
Yeah.
like the Downtown Woonsocket
Yeah.
Collaborative, I'm still
Right.
involved, but I'm a member ex officio
Of course.
because, and this was very hard for me because we, like, Garrett Mansieri and I basically like reinvigorated the group and, got some newer, younger members on and started doing some, different events. And he was the chair and I was the vice chair and he was the executive director and I was the chair. And then we had both decided that for the benefit of the organization, that it would be good for us both to take a step back. And we did that. And it was really hard. I was actually very sad. It was like my baby and I had to leave it. And, part of you thinks like, oh, well, what if someone comes in and they don't do a good job? And
Well,
then
then
the
tough
the
It happens.
the child doesn't survive, right? But like it's a hard thing to do, but I realized that it was necessary to let some younger folks come in and have their own ideas and succeed and fail and just to be there behind them. I still do the events because nobody else wants to do them. It would be great if somebody did and I could just participate in the events instead of planning them. But, since then I've stepped back from other things. And after I've done that, after I did it the first time, it got easier because you just have to keep that thinking like, I don't have all the great ideas. I'm not the best at everything. I have learned in that time to delegate and to trust people. And that, if something goes wrong or there's a little glitch, it's not the end of the world.
Well, no one is indispensable. Hard to
Yeah.
believe that, especially you. But you know what? Life goes on. I mean,
there's a lot of talent out there and a lot of great folks.
sure. And you could
Okay.
die, and life would go on. It does go on, as a
Yeah.
matter of fact, if
Yep.
you're involved.
It's mandated.
Of course it is. Again, one more quick story. I retired from Woonsocket High School after 35 years in 2004. Walked out of the building on June 30th, the last day of the fiscal year. Turned around, looked, and I said, nah, I'm not going back. And you know what? The next day I drove by the high school, and much to my dismay, the building was still standing. So, that's how I look at it. And it's still
Yeah.
there today,
Yeah.
even.
Yeah.
So that's true. Hard. But
Well, we all
Yeah.
have to grab
Yeah.
hold of a corner
Yeah.
of the world
Yeah.
and keep it turning. And we do our stint, and then someone else spells us, and
we're
they
all-
do their thing too.
we're all there temporarily. And that's the way it is.
Yep.
I think the
Okay.
thing about politics, bringing it back, is term limits. For executive branch, but not for legislative branch.
Okay.
Seems
any,
unfair.
Any particular reason?
Because she's in the legislative branch, Romeo.
Oh, I knew that. But I wanted
No,
her,
I
wanted
mean,
her to say that.
I am in favor of term
Yeah.
limits. And the problem is that
Yeah.
nobody can ever decide what that amount of time should be. Because to some people, they think, oh, well, you should serve 2 terms. And then some people say, no, 2-year terms really isn't enough. And it isn't because you're
No, I
just
agree with that.
like, and that institutional knowledge is important.
I would give you 5 terms.
10 years.
yeah.
Melissa, I am sorry to be disagreeable, but I
Yeah.
really can't agree with what you said. I don't know if you are interested in finding out why, but I can't agree with that. I'm 180 degrees. If you want institutional knowledge, don't worry about it. The bureaucrats will take care of you. They're the ones that that carry the water,
The
and the
non-elected
decision makers
Yeah.
that do the decisions. I think it should be exactly the opposite. Term limits for legislative branch, no term limits for executive branch.
Ooh.
Because
Interesting.
executive
Ooh.
branch has got the target on their back from the entire state. They can't just, kiss up to the folks who live within a few miles of where they live and let the rest of the state, the heck with the rest of the state, and then get reelected. Where it's in the legislative branch, any member can do that. Get reelected just with a neighborhood liking them, even if it's not good for the entire state.
Right.
The executive branch can't do that. So the effect of running for reelection at the end of each prescribed term will have the desired effect there. But it doesn't have the desired effect in the legislative branch because all you got to do is just kiss up to your old neighborhood. How many times did we see that happen down the Silver Lake neighborhood? I mean, how long? As long as they wanted, right?
Yeah.
And that's just the way it was. And then it was a legacy
Yeah.
gift
Could
to
that
the
be the-
next freshly scrubbed young face that came up in the neighborhood.
Good.
The handoff. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I think that I'm 100% against what you said, because you said term limits for executive, not for legislative.
No, I said term
completely
limits for
opposite.
everybody. It's either all or none, I think. I think there should be term limits for
Well,
I
executive
don't
authority.
I don't agree.
If you're going to have term limits for one, you should have term limits for all, right?
No, I disagree.
Okay.
The legislative would be like the board of directors in a corporate structure. And don't worry about it. There's enough institutional knowledge with the people who work day to day in the company to advise the board of directors on legacy institutional knowledge. And they will at the top of their voices sometimes.
Yeah.
Executives have to say, okay, I've got a 5-year plan. What do you do with 2-year terms and a 4-year term limit and a 5-year plan? Even the state of Rhode Island demands a 5 to 10-year plan from every
Right.
municipality. And if you have the term limits in, not a single executive officer can survive to see the plan through. Now, that sounds like insanity to me.
It would seem to me that members of Congress, not legislators, but members of Congress in Washington, should look forward to term limits. This way, they can rush back. They can rush into their post congressional jobs, become lobbyists, and make 2 and 3 times the amount of money
Right.
that they
With
make.
health care for life.
Yeah, and talking about which, if I may, I know we have to take a break, Dave, but maybe after the, I just want to, I couldn't, the government did not shut down, thankfully.
Yeah.
Okay. We could say
Oh,
some,
we
could
do
say
you know the damage that was done last week? I
we-
explained it to Melissa.
we could say some nice things about McCarthy, but we won't, because I don't like him. However,
Well, McCarthy's on his way out.
oh, he should be, and not for that reason, for other reasons. But the other question, the other comment I wanted to make is that they didn't shut the government down, but as you said, there were a lot of, there's a lot of damage that was done, and I don't know if you want to talk about that, but there is something I want to mention after the break. I'll wait.
The damage that is done is that there was absolutely no work being done in the federal government all last week.
While they're
I
trying to
know
impeach
I've
Biden.
been there. 3
Yeah.
almost shutdowns. When I was a
Yep.
a federal contractor at one point, and it was you were demanded. You have to do this. You have to make that report. You have to get this ready. You have to get that ready over here. And there was no work being done except getting ready to shut down.
And here's the thought I had. It would have affected all government workers except for Congress itself. That
Right.
to me is despicable.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
That's all.
Thank you. We'll be right back with more Coffee and after these important messages. Yay.
You know, when you're paying the right price for protection, you just know it. It's that warm, fuzzy, totally secure feeling, knowing that you're not only getting great coverage, but you're also not paying too much for it. And when it comes to your insurance, there's no one better at getting the right price for your protection than Allstate agents Kara and Celeste Benjamin, because they know when it comes to your bank account, every penny counts towards something bigger, something better. Like a nicer car, that home update you've been dreaming of, or a phone that's fresh out of the box. Those little or big things that we work so hard for. And Kara and Celeste Benjamin want to help you work a little less by getting you the coverage you need and the savings you deserve when you switch to Allstate. Contact Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, 2 locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. 765-5000 for a free quote today. Allstate, you're in good hands. And you're in good hands with Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. Savings vary based on the average annual savings reported by new auto customers surveyed in 2019 who switched to Allstate. Nominations are pouring in for the Best of the Blackstone Valley. It's here and time for you to let your voice be heard. Nominate and support your favorite businesses at bestoftheblackstonevalley.com. Got a favorite restaurant? Nominate them. Love where you bought your car or those new shoes? Nominate them for the Best of the Blackstone Valley. Couldn't live without your gym or a favorite plumber? Nominate them too. Nominate today and until October 4th at 5 p.m. for the bestoftheblackstonevalley.com.
All right. Well, this weather forecast being brought to you by Families in Poverty Facing a Global Food Crisis. That's very nice of them. $50 provides a food kit to feed a family for a whole month. If you can spare it, just text the word radio to 97646. Here's the forecast.
I love our Rhode Island shoreline, but our location makes us vulnerable to hurricanes and tropical storms. It's important to be prepared as best we can before the storm hits. You can help by knowing your risks, getting flood insurance, and being familiar with your evacuation route. Let's all do our part to be hurricane strong. The steps we take today can help minimize damage tomorrow. Learn more at riema.ri.gov.
Brought to you by Governor Dan McKee and the Rhode Island Broadcasters Association.
Sunny skies today with a high of 73. Tonight, mostly clear, overnight low of 51. Tuesday's weather, sunny and 81. Wednesday, sunshine and 81. Thursday, mostly sunny and 76. Friday, cloudy, 72. Saturday, a 60% chance of a shower, mostly cloudy with a high of 67. And on Sunday, mostly sunny skies and 61.
Well, you should ask me that on the air, Romeo, so everyone can hear it. But thank you very much, me. Right now, outside our Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio here on Park Avenue at the corner of Kennedy Street, 58.5 degrees. We were down to 54 earlier today. And as you heard me say earlier, 73 will be our goal for the day. Romeo was asking a question off the air.
Yeah, I'll ask you on the air now.
Okay,
When do we have Indian summer? When does that happen?
now.
Now? Right now?
Yeah.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Because it's October and we're getting
I
summer
can't tell you
weather?
why. It's the
I
weather
thought-
is what it is.
I thought it was the first hot day after a frost.
Well, that's the definition.
We haven't had a frost yet.
Yeah, that's the definition, but everything is different now.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Everything is different with the weather now, Romeo.
that's for sure.
And generally speaking, we've had a cold snap. Now, it didn't get down to frost. And there may be some warmer, moderating temperatures after we do get down to a cold snap. But we are only 5 degrees away from a cold snap for 3 or 4 days last week.
Mm-hmm.
We had overnight low temperatures 44, 46. And so I'm looking at it. If you were talking about what Indian summer always meant, what Indian summer always meant was that when the cold weather comes, there is always a time in the weeks afterwards where you get a few days of good weather that you can rely on and move to your winter grounds. Because remember, an awful lot of Indian tribes back then, they didn't set up a place in this particular location. I mean, they moved from place to place. And so when the warmer weather came, this was the time. They knew it was coming. They get up, nice day. They didn't have the forecast of the Weather Bureau or anything else like that. Nice day. We can go because we know it's going to be several days of warmer temperature because it's just a cycle.
So the origin of the term comes from...
But there is a definition, and
Native.
the definition
Yeah.
is far too restrictive, and it has
No.
nothing to do with how
Okay.
weather works in 2023.
So I'm going to ask Melissa a question about the same topic. You think we should change that term and call it Native American summer? No, I'm serious.
I don't think you can stop people from saying whatever they're going to say, right?
I know. Well,
Just like if it's in your, if it's a colloquialism or if it's in your vocabulary, it's in your repertoire, it's probably always going to be, unless you.
No, people can update themselves.
They can, but it takes some effort to.
Of course it does.
Yeah, and
Some people don't want to put the effort in.
Some people don't want to put the effort in. But,
And some people do.
yeah.
No, seriously, Romeo, for all intents and purposes, I gave you the answer that is not literally correct, but it is figuratively correct. Because you're not going to see temperatures in the 70s, high 70s, and brushing 80 after the first frost. Ain't going to see it. Not anymore, because of the overall trends in weather are becoming milder.
climate change?
Well, yeah. I will say yes, climate change in the literal sense, but climate change for certain political people is a weapon. It's a term of weaponry. And I don't believe that it should be used as a weapon
Well, let's call
to
it
get your
global-
political
global
goals
warming.
across. Climate change has been
Yeah.
going on since the end of the last ice age. Actually, I dare say, although I can't prove it, I wasn't there, since before the last ice age. Climate change has been going on ever since. I mean, read your history books as you did, and you know that you wanted to move a lighthouse from this island to that island. You waited till January, late January, or early February. You put it on skids, and you dragged it across Narragansett Bay, which was frozen over to the point where it could support a building.
Wow.
And you knew that you could do that because that's how the winters were. Hasn't been like that in my lifetime. So climate change has always been here. Just don't weaponize it on me because it makes me crazy.
Okay.
Now,
I think climate change is a better term than global warming. I think people started to use
Yeah.
that, and folks
it's
took
the same thing.
I know, but then folks took it
Global
literally.
warming since the
and
last ice age.
I know you and I know that, but then people say, "Whoa, it's so cold this winter." I thought we were talking about global warming, and it's
Yeah.
not literal.
Well, the recent flooding in New York City last Friday,
yeah,
the commentators
bad.
are all saying as a result of climate change. They are all saying that on the major networks.
Right, because it doesn't happen often, so there's a change.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's, but they were all throwing that in. That this is
Yeah.
the result of climate change, and it's going to get worse.
Well, the
I mean,
implication is that
Yeah.
it's because of the acts of mankind.
yeah,
that
yeah.
We have exacerbated or
I like
accelerated the
that word.
problem, right?
Yeah, well,
so
we have
that's
contributed
that's
to
those
Yeah.
are the undertones, and there are
Yeah.
people who believe that, and there are people who don't believe that. So
Yeah, well,
it's become a
Yeah, I know. I mean, Dave is partly right. But coming in from Uxbridge this morning, beautiful day, but I noticed haze.
From
And I was
wildfires.
listening to another station on the way down. I always do that to kind of get more of a perspective when I'm
How
Just to
listening.
make
dare
sure
you.
your
How
radio
dare
works,
you.
right?
Yeah, that's right. And and apparently, yeah, the wildfires in Canada are back.
yeah.
And that's a form of how that's affecting us. Now, is that man-made, or is it something that nature started? The fires.
Nature started.
So they always had the fires.
Nature started lightning.
Okay.
We didn't
No,
start
I thought
lightning.
it was Benjamin Franklin.
Now, people,
Benjamin Franklin invented lightning.
key,
No,
yeah.
we can't even say that because
Didn't he
somebody was like,
invent
well,
human
she
beings can
said.
start a fire, to be sure,
I know.
but were fires way before human beings.
So they've always had this haze in our
When
area.
when it
When there's a
happened
wildfire.
that there was
It's just they're
uncontrolled,
happening more
widespread
often.
fires. Yeah,
Why is that?
I think
because when
the,
things burn, they
the conditions that you know,
Does it have anything to do with climate change?
I believe
Yeah.
that it does. I believe that it does. And again, like climate change is happening. Are we contributing to it?
I
Are
think we
carbon
are.
emissions contributing to it?
we are.
I think that they are, and I think we need to.
We're not causing it, but we're adding to it. Something like that,
Right.
right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
And there are some people who are so upset about it, Romeo, that they will bankrupt the country and they will force great financial hardship on their offspring and their progeny just to get their way because they're just so scared of what the world will end up when it changes. And all they're going to be doing is tapping the brakes, of course, because the change is well underway. It has a momentum. It will continue on even if all human beings leave the planet immediately. However, there are some people who just think that, oh, well, we can stop it. We can save the planet. Oh, give me a break. Melissa's way too young and beautiful to remember all the hue and cry and the political weaponry on overpopulation of the planet.
Oh well, yeah, I remember.
Oh my goodness.
I think
I mean,
that-
there's not enough food for everybody on the planet. There's not enough oil for everybody on the planet. There's not enough anything for everybody. We have to stop making people. And this was a very, very big thing. And we all looked at it and said, oh, well, I suppose these people know better than we do. But quite frankly, they was all wrong. It was a big scam. And that's it. I mean, natural things will take a natural level, and
Countries like China. We're limiting how
Yep.
many children
Well, they
you could
had
have.
they have political reasons for that.
Sure, but I think there's more than enough food for everybody. I wouldn't argue that. I would say that the problem is that it's not distributed equitably, and that there's
That's true.
tons
That's
and
always
tons
been the
and
same, but that's a
tons
natural thing.
of food that is thrown away, and yet there
But
are
that's
folks
a
who have
natural
nothing.
thing, Melissa.
I don't
There's
think it's
plenty
natural.
enough. Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah, kids.
Oh, no,
I
no.
don't.
Back up a little bit and listen to me. I know you're a smart lady, so just back up and listen to me. There's plenty enough water on the planet for everybody. Why are there deserts? It's a natural thing. It happens. The water's over here and you got too much of it, like New York City and Manhattan this past weekend. And over there, I'm not getting enough water for the crops. So grow
I
up.
just- I just
Nobody
think-
hung a sign on this planet saying heaven. It's called
Well, that's
Earth.
for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah, don't forget Brooklyn. You mentioned Manhattan. Brooklyn really got it bad. But anyway,
Yeah,
that's because I
yeah,
have friends
yeah.
there. But however, I just wanted to say, you made something. You made an interesting point when you said they have to stop making people, or
Well,
something
they said
like
back
that.
in the
well,
70s.
Well, aren't they doing that with by legalizing abortion? Think about it.
No, well, abortion was going to happen whether it was legal or not.
No, I understood.
Yeah.
But they
Abortion
st-
has been happening whether it was legal or
Yeah,
not.
it's just
Yeah.
that people were dying from it.
But now that it's legal,
Not always.
there are more people
Not-
getting.
yeah.
There are more people. Well,
Right.
I'm
Right.
just saying. So in a way, that group has stopped making people.
Yeah.
If you really
But
want
that's
to
a
stretch,
choice.
that's a stretch.
That's a choice. It wasn't mandated.
But
Yeah,
I,
good choice.
I liken it to the deal of we
Yeah.
have a big heat wave across the country and Congress wants to do something about it.
They can't.
Well, they can pass all the laws they want.
They can't. That's it.
But they're not going to be successful trying to do something about it.
Right now, they're not going to pass any laws.
Yeah. Okay, can we
They
get
don't want to
back-
pass anything right now.
Can we get back to that after the break? I'd like to talk about that.
I don't know.
If I may. It's up to you. You're the moderator, Dave. But I wanted to say something
A
about
temporary,
Well,
a
all right.
temporary problem that
You're
we
in,
could
you're in
remedy
charge.
easily.
You're the pilot flying the plane.
Ah,
That's right.
all right.
you
Well,
do.
we'll take a little break then.
trust in you.
Because Romeo wants a break, so we'll take that
Well, no,
break.
I
We'll be
think
right
it's a good
back.
time. I'm just
You
looking-
can't vote for them if they're not on the ballot. Nominate today at bestoftheblackstonevalley.com.
See, I told you it was a quick break. And so there you go.
That was
We're all
it.
done to the end of the show,
All
Romeo.
right, well then, okay.
Ask and you shall receive.
Okay, let's talk about Biden for a minute. Now they
Why? That's
poor
Mr.
time-
Biden. He's the president of the United
yes,
States.
or as some people
Whether
call
that
him.
please you or not,
No, let's just talk
the
about
man is in a position of respect.
the country is on the brink of shutting down. There's all sorts of crises going on in the country. There's this UAW strike, which is now affecting a lot of different branches of that industry, as I heard this morning. Also, the Patriots are losing. No, that's got nothing to do with it. But basically,
Call your congressperson. It's their fault.
and I think the Red Sox ended up in last place. But why did they? The timing of an impeachment inquiry on Biden, which is going nowhere, by the way, because
Right.
they don't have the votes in the Senate. And they
Yeah.
know that. Why are they doing that? And
It's a dis-
I know the answer, but I want you to.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all, political pandering
It
to
is.
a very small and
Yeah.
loud base.
Yeah.
And
Matt
there
Gaetz.
are, yes, Matt Gaetz and
A hateful
Marjorie-
man, isn't he?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
yeah,
why.
Marjorie Taylor Greene and all these
Oh,
folks, the Chaos Caucus, as,
There's
as
only
they
about
are
5 or
referred to.
6 of them, right?
Right, the Chaos Caucus.
Creating all these issues. And I guess the Republicans are mad because that group, at least, that Mr. McCarthy used the Democrats to get his solution through. And
He
they're
had to.
very, very upset.
Had
So
to.
They're going to try to get him out.
How can
So-
you be mad at someone for reaching across the aisle to get something
what
done
they-
when
that-
your own folks?
because it's politics.
That's what
how
they-
you can
well,
do that.
well, right, but that is what
That's-
you are supposed to do.
Well, that's what they
And-
used to do. But
Yeah.
it goes back to Dave's earlier point that while all this is going on, what is being done for the country? Basically,
Nothing.
Zilch.
Nothing.
Nothing. And that's why I'm so fed up with it.
I think a
And-
lot of people are
yeah,
frustrated with it,
yeah,
and that's
yeah.
why people become disenfranchised, and they, I'm not going to vote for anybody because
Yeah.
my vote doesn't matter. And
That's true.
we see
And you
it
know
more and
what?
more, and I hear it more and more that, well, it doesn't matter. Nobody represents me and wants to do
Yeah.
anything for me.
Yeah.
They just want to be, get their 5 minutes on
Yeah, of
NBC
fame.
or whatever.
It's it's the unelected bureaucrats. Unelected is the key word that are running the country.
Well, they're the ones with their hands on the tiller, actually,
Yeah.
but they take orders from
Yeah,
others.
yeah. But
It's true. Bureaucrats do run the country to the extent that if you were on a ship and you had a crew of 100, some of them are going to make sure that the engines run and they get repaired, and that someone's going to have their hand on the steering wheel. Some of them is going to compare their progress against their charted course, and some of them are going to clean the staterooms, and some of them are going to clean bathrooms and all the rest of that
yeah,
stuff.
Gotcha.
So the bureaucrats take care of that. And if you want to know what's going on, you always ask a bureaucrat. It's just like the crew. But the people who own the boat, the people who put together the cruise destinations, the sales office, the captain, etc., they all have their role in it. But you're right. Bureaucrats do technically run everything, but they don't make the decisions for everything.
Right. But sometimes they help getting back to the politicians, the elected officials, to make their decision. I'm sure that
with information that the politician might not know.
Right, exactly. So they do serve a useful purpose,
Right.
I guess.
You can have a negative
Yeah.
attitude
Yeah.
toward lobbyists, but I'm sure that Melissa's had experience in her life where a lobbyist would bring up a point on an issue of debate that she might not have considered before, and
Absolutely.
she gets a chance to consider it.
That's yes.
It may sway her or not sway
I
her
think so,
from her
yeah.
original
Sure.
position,
Absolutely.
but there is a reason for it.
Yeah, you're
But the
absolutely
lobbyists
correct.
don't control everything. Only when you have a bad elected official who allows a lobbyist control. It's just like saying,
That's
"Oh
100% correct.
Oh
Yep.
my goodness, Walmart put these stores out of business, these little mom and pop stores out of business. Walmart did not put these stores out of business. The people who choose to shop at Walmart instead of the little stores are the ones that put the little stores out of business, not Walmart. I mean, back up a few feet, folks, and take a look from the 10,000-foot level, and you will see that it's easy to make a scapegoat, but quite frankly, everybody's got a little responsibility here.
I think everybody does, and I disagree with your Walmart analogy, but I will say that having lobbyists and different advocacy groups can be helpful and hurtful. That when you're crafting legislation, they say, "Oh, well, we have this bill, we want you to carry it," and you look at it and you decide whether or not you're going to carry it. But it's always helpful to not just sit down with them, and this is what I personally feel you're supposed to do, is get everybody at the table who may have differing opinions, because you're going to put forth the bill and somebody's going to be against it, right? There's always going to be somebody against it.
Any decision will bring a division in the House.
So, all right, let's get that person to the table and see why. Maybe they have a good reason, maybe they don't, but at least talk to them, come to some kind of agreement. If everybody walks away a little unhappy, you probably are closest as you're going to get. But I do think that lobbyists can be helpful. But when you start seeing elected officials who take money from lobbyists and then make their decisions based on that money, which happens all the time, then that is not helpful. Like if somebody gives me $100 or $200 and they think that I'm going to change my vote or change a decision, well, then I guess they didn't really pay attention to what I'm actually doing, because I'm going to take the money
But
and I'm
there
going
may
to
be
use it to
others
get
who do-
real.
who are swayed by it.
Absolutely, they do. Yeah. A $500 donation. Okay, I'm going to hold my ground. I'm going to vote no on this, even though I know that's not the right vote. That's where it really goes awry.
Can you talk
Yeah.
about Senator Menendez? Menendez, for example?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
He was influenced by
Sure,
lobbyists
sure.
in
I
Egypt.
just have that gold bar
Yeah.
hanging out in my
and
house.
all that
and,
cash in his suitcase.
all
Why?
this
Why hide
cash.
it? Cash?
Well, he says
Oh
that
my
he'll be
gosh.
exonerated.
Sure. Yeah.
He
well,
is not
interesting. He's really doubling down, isn't he? And yet his colleagues are saying he needs to. He needs to step
yeah,
down.
of course he
Well,
does.
his colleagues from Massachusetts are. The colleagues from Rhode Island are saying, well.
Yeah. Interesting, right? I mean,
Well,
Massachusetts is saying, okay, he's got to go.
yeah.
He's damaged goods.
Yeah.
But
Well, I
Rhode
think it-
Island, they said, well, this is very serious, and we have confidence in the legislative process to work for
Can't-
course
can't
of justice.
The Senate take a vote and censure him?
Oh, sure they could if they
officially.
wanted to.
Just,
Yeah.
kinda
But you have to
make
get some groundswell of support.
not necessarily impeach him. I don't think they can be impeached. I'm
All
not
right.
sure.
Well, it's 5 minutes left of the program. What say we go to the lightning round and come up with some interesting things you guys can just go thumbs up and thumbs down. What do you think?
Sure.
You're the moderator.
Okay. Bananas. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Okay, everybody likes the bananas.
Potassium.
Now let's get to something real. Romeo,
Yes. That's real.
if you owned a dictionary company and you published a dictionary,
Yeah.
what's the one thing you could do to sell more dictionaries?
The one thing I could do,
Right.
I'd hire Joe as my PR guy, and he would publicize the fact that I own a dictionary company and try to advertise it. Try to get people to buy it by advertising.
Is that so? All right. Well, you have to have something to advertise.
The dictionary.
Melissa, what would you do if you owned a dictionary company?
I would sell an online subscription to the dictionary.
Aha. Okay, that's
Modern,
interesting
very
too.
nice, yeah.
Both of you are wrong, of course.
Yeah.
In Springfield, Massachusetts, the Merriam-Webster Company, which publishes a dictionary every year, has found the way to do it is to add words to the dictionary, making their previous editions obsolete every year.
Yeah.
And
Makes
right,
sense.
so now,
Yeah.
gee whiz, I mean, you can't be.
What are the
having-
new words this year? It's
Yeah.
always interesting when they
Name.
add
Yeah,
new
yeah.
words.
Well, yeah, it is, and I bring that up because I have an opinion on what qualifies, but that's just my opinion, and everybody's got one. Springfield-based Merriam-Webster has added about 700 new words. Actually, the count is 690 new words, so that you must go out and buy a new dictionary, regardless of the 80 dictionaries you have already.
Who's buying all these dictionaries?
Well, I guess
So I
they're
have a
hoping
dictionary from like 1970
they're hoping that
something.
libraries and schools and things like that will all buy them. If you're on the phone, you might want to avoid getting a smishing message.
Oh, okay. What
New
is that?
word. It's a valid word now. I'm sure that your computer doesn't even know it, and it'll give you a bad spelling on it. Smishing, S-M-I-S-H-I-N-G, is defined as the practice of sending text to someone in order to trick them. That's called smishing. When you do it for emails, it's called phishing with a PH.
Okay.
So we needed a new word when it was done in a different medium.
Where,
Melissa's got that quizzical look on her face.
Yeah, I'm very
who decides which words go into that dictionary?
right.
These
Who are the
are
word
these are my
police?
questions.
Word police.
But wait, there's more. There's 690 of them.
Yeah.
All right, I'm not going to do them all here.
I hope. Well,
Or you may have logged onto social media and fell into the thirst trap. Thirst trap,
thirst trap.
which is a selfie or another photo started for the purpose of getting attention. Aren't they all for the purpose of getting attention?
Yeah.
If you feel the need to leave a comment, you could say NGL. Do you know what that means?
NGL? No.
NGL. It's an abbreviation for a new phrase that's part of the Webster Dictionary.
No good something.
No, not gonna lie.
Not gonna lie.
As
okay.
if you were expecting me to do it anyway.
So next time you ask me for my opinion, Dave, I'm gonna
NGL.
say NGL.
Yeah. All right. I thought you'd be interested in that. And
am.
former President Jimmy Carter's 99.
Happy birthday.
Wow.
He'll be 100 next
Yesterday.
year,
October
if the
1st.
Lord lets him.
If you make, so yeah.
And a birthday bash was held Saturday at the Jimmy Carter Presidential Library and Museum in Atlanta. It actually was a day ahead of time because yesterday was his birthday.
Yes.
But they did that to avoid the possible consequences of a government shutdown, shutting down the doggone library
goodness.
and causing everything else like that.
Or a premature death.
Sure,
99,
well,
you never know, right?
In Washington, a 3-tiered wooden cake was displayed on the White House lawn with
Wow.
the message, "Happy Birthday, President Carter."
Oh.
Carter was born in 1924, which means he's 99 now, and is the longest living former president.
And
He
the-
was placed in hospice care 7 months ago, but this past weekend,
Yeah.
he and former lady Rosalind Carter, I remember from the 1970s, not to call her Rosalind, it's Rosalind
Yeah.
Carter, made an appearance at the Peanut Festival in Plains, Georgia.
Of course.
Well, he's also probably the most popular former president
Yeah. And
because of everything he's done for humanity after he left the White House.
building
Sure.
houses up until what, like
Habitat
a couple of
for Humanity.
Habitat for
Yeah.
Humanity up
A
until a
wonderful
couple of
man, but
years
unfortunately,
ago.
he had the wrong idea about being president, and
Yeah.
he didn't have a good run of it.
No,
right,
he didn't.
right. But he used that
Yeah.
position to do good going
Yeah.
forward for the rest of his life,
Sure.
right?
And most of that,
yeah.
and the
you can't
Paris.
ask for more than that.
What a role model for some former presidents.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Can't believe it
Leave it at that.
accords, right?
Yeah,
And like that. Well, all right.
just
Hey,
a genuinely altruistic person, right?
Oh yeah.
Our time is up.
man.
I'll just finish up by saying if you're into comic books and rare comic books, I wouldn't buy any for the next while or so because someone who had a multi-million-dollar collection of books passed away in Portland, Oregon. Thieves broke into the house before family members could go in.
Jeez.
They're all gone,
Oh
and
my gosh.
they're being sold all over the place. But of course, if you buy stolen merchandise, this is not good for you,
Right,
or
and
for
you're going to
anyone
have to
else.
give it
Might
back.
lose it.
So right.
And that's it. You lost your money and your
Yeah, you
merch.
can
So
claim your innocence,
don't be
but,
buying any.
Yeah, good
And if
good
you-
advice.
And if you really, really like pandas, Atlanta is your city. It's the only place in North America that the Chinese have given a panda to exhibit.
Okay.
All right. It's time for us to say so long. We'll give Melissa the last word. So what do you think, Romeo?
I think it's
words
always-
of sage wisdom for the day?
It's always a pleasure to be on Coffee Inn, and especially when Dave Richards is the moderator. Now, do I get that raise? I guess not.
Sure, if you
anyway,
want.
thank you.
Talk to the real boss.
Thank
Denise.
you for giving me the opportunity to discuss the various issues of the day. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, me
Yeah.
too. I hope that I'm glad you're here because I would not have been able to carry the ball myself
Oh, yeah.
for the entire time. And of course, that goes also to Melissa Murray.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Who
thank you
helped
for
me
having
through
me.
the
A lot
hour.
of heavy topics for a Monday morning, but we navigated it well.
If I can jump in again, happy birthday, Melissa.
Oh, thank you,
Yep,
thank you.
Yep, tomorrow.
All right. And that's it for our show for the day. If you missed any portion of it, pick it up on demand at wonsocketradio.com. We'll, of course, have a beautiful day today and for most of the rest of the week. Looking forward to Autumn Fest, where we have, it wouldn't be Autumn Fest without a 60% chance of some showers.
It's early.
But only for Saturday. Sunday and Monday look good.
Great.
So, I mean, get out those umbrellas, get out those Autumn Fest umbrellas, and we'll see you in the park this weekend. And I'll see you tomorrow morning with Joe on the radio. Make it a good day, will you? Oh, yes. And Leslie's in the house. She just walked in.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant